Well, we're 5 minutes late. I'm so sorry to say, and I got the wrong caption up there. This is what happens when your 11 o'clock meeting runs over. So, how are you doing today, Peter?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Not bad. Walked out of my house in sunny Chicago today to 6 inches of snow. I was
Ooh,
like, that is a little depressing,
yeah,
but I think it's
we're,
going to
we're,
be gone over the weekend. How's Austin today?
it's still cold. We're not used to it still being in the 30s in almost March, but hopefully it should be the last of this for us. We're ready for that 80, 90, 100-degree weather.
Yes, we're talking about potentially coming down to Austin for spring break this year.
It's a perfect time to come. It's right before it gets too hot, but we're out past the freezing rain and sleet, so it's a good time of year to come visit.
Yeah, my son is a junior in high school, so he's starting to look at schools. So we were thinking of checking out Texas. Actually, we're thinking of convincing him to check out any school that's in a warm climate at that time.
There you go.
Exactly. All right, we'll just give it a couple seconds here as we let some more people stroll in. Um, I take a look at who's coming in on LinkedIn as well. I can see from my phone what the heck happened here. And then we'll get fired up. There we go. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Friday. I apologize for starting late. Had a meeting and then I had some audio visual issues. You'd think at some point in time we'd become professionals at this, but it's the content that matters. So, welcome to the Friday Smart Market Call. With us today is Peter Hanks from Procore. If people who don't know Procore, it is construction management software. I think that's probably the easiest way to describe it. I'll let Peter describe it more in just a little bit. The one thing I do want to hit first, Ashley couldn't jump on the call today, but I wanted to talk about the trade of the week, which this week was European long length 2x6. By that, I mean 18 foot and 20 foot. I think that's a fantastic product, especially as we see more and more wood from Eastern Canada, less wood from Western Canada. The European wood is filling in, and they generally you don't see it that often, longer than 16 foot. But we have one user who is bringing in 18 and 20 foot. And we've sold, I think, 10 trucks this week of just 2x6, 18 and 20 foot. So if that's something that you can use, from what I understand as well, as trusses have become more difficult. You can think about roofing and using rafters, 2x6 rafters. So if that is an item that you're interested in, talk to your salesperson or me, and we can get you all the information you need to know about long length 2x6, 18s and 20s. So without further ado, Peter Hanks, Procore, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. So tell us what would I describe Procore. Did I do a good job? Who is Procore?
Yeah, so that's a really good starting place. Procore is really an ecosystem for construction. We're a platform that's really trying to go beyond being a platform, to really bring in the technology to the construction industry for all the people who are building the tech companies of today and helping them use that technology to then help expand their businesses as well.
So what's the start of Procore? What was its first version? What did people start using it?
So it was originally created by our CEO Tui when he was building his house. Um, 20 plus years ago, he was, figured out, man, this is really hard. The data is not flowing from the general contractor to the subcontractors, then to the owners. And everyone was a little bit on a different page. So he decided, this is a problem that's not just for my house, but across the entire industry. How can we try to help? And how to streamline this data and make it an easier transition for everyone across the project to know what was going on.
Yeah, Exactly. Getting everybody on the same page. Well, in Procore's example, getting everybody on the same screen, right?
Exactly.
Um, so then it developed into a platform. And when you say a platform, what does that mean?
So there's a lot of different things Procore can do. So we're not just trying to be a piece of software that's just project management or just quality and safety or just in the financials, but across the entire project, bring all that data to the same place. So your field teams and your back office teams are all on the same page and looking at the same real time data instead of having gaps, backlogs of data, making decisions on information that may no longer be good, and really make sure that everyone's thinking in the right mind and in the same space at the same time.
And then you said ecosystem. It become the next kind of iteration is becoming an ecosystem. And what does that mean?
So that's really where Procore expands beyond just us ourselves. So we've built an app marketplace as well, really partnering with over 300 now that are in that app marketplace, um, that have the ability to do everything. So there's weather apps in there that we integrate with risk management, scheduling, cameras, drones, anything that you could potentially need for construction. We're partnering with these other companies to make sure we integrate with them and have everything flowing back and forth smoothly for the construction companies themselves.
That's really cool. An app marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Yes.
you know, when you allow the outside world to have access to your ecosystem, right, and use their innovations and creativity, it just makes the ecosystem better.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it a lot easier to flow back and forth and put everything together in one spot.
So when we were getting ready for the call yesterday, we talked a little bit about what the ecosystem means, or how the whole project management idea through software, how what the idea is. And I said to you, okay, but isn't Procore really expensive? And the one thing you said that really surprised me is that, as let's say the general contractor has the Procore license, they can invite their subcontractors to use it, and it essentially is cost free for the subs and for the other people. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the pricing model isn't based on number of users. When we're talking about price there, if the general contractor is on the Procore platform, he can invite his subs to that project, and it doesn't cost the subs anything to be there. They're then able to work on that project with the general contractor, submit invoices, anything that they need to do with the general on that project, they're allowed to do and will have access to that program, and that project itself. So they don't have to then purchase Procore for that project. Now, going forward, if they wanted to run all of their projects themselves, then that's a different scenario. But as a general, if they have it, all of their subs can be on the platform with them on that project as well.
And that really ties in the real time concept. So everyone's looking at the same screen. That when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's super powerful. So give me an example and kind of include the supplier of a situation where um, there. Well, we talked about it yesterday. A change order comes in,
Mm-hmm.
and how would that play out through everyone inside of the ecosystem?
Yeah. So, and I'll use lumber and you guys kind of what y'all have created at Materials Exchange for real time being able to, find and purchase lumber through you guys as a supplier. So about a year ago when lumber prices really spiked, um, we've had customers who were, doing change orders. If you weren't on the Procore platform, a lot of them were doing change orders the old school way of emailing them. May sit in an inbox for a couple days before a PM realizes it's there or before an owner signs off, sends it back. Um, a year ago, literally overnight, you guys saw it as well. The price of lumber skyrocketed. So that change order that then is approved potentially is $50,000 too light. With Procore, you can see in the platform, your sub can go in and see what the status of that change order is. The GC can see it. The owner can see it. The status is it updates in real time. We integrate with things like DocuSign as well. So everything's virtual signatures. So there's no lag time in printing out, getting wedding signatures, sending back and scanning. It cuts down the time that it takes to get something moving, which also can save you a lot of money, not just in a day's labor, but the potential, commodity rising overnight like lumber did.
And of course, you can't have someone come and say, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Absolutely. Yeah. It's got its checks and balances because you can see whether it's, been sent back for a revision and resubmission, or if it's sitting in approved draft status. Everyone on the platform and everyone involved with the project will know exactly where that change order stands at any given time.
And how it might impact their work or their planning, correct?
Absolutely. And it also helps to speed up, any delays that may then roll downhill to the next subcontractor who's looking to get started but can't get done until the concrete guys or the excavating guys are finished getting their job done.
So it seems to me it's like a no-brainer. It almost eliminates that need for, okay, we're going to have a meeting every morning, and whatever changed the day before, we're going to discuss and make a plan for today. I mean, things happen real time. You can make these changes midday.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes away the need to have an hour and a half long meeting every morning to get everyone on the same page. You can add notes to change orders, tag different people in them to make sure that they know this has been happening. So you don't have to spend that extra time away from the job site and away from working to just get caught up on the day's work that happened the day before.
So it's real-time project management. Now you're specifically involved in the financial side. What's your background that you understand the finance side of construction?
Yeah, so I come from a financial background, originally in business banking. And I got my first real taste of construction years ago when I was working for a physical software security company. That's really where I got a taste of construction companies and contractors who were using building technology and literally asking cameras or putting in access control doors, all of these things that were using technology, and they were still drawing things out on paper. They were actually implementing new technology into buildings while using analytical pen and paper, drawing it up, scanning it in. That really kind of got me into, man, this industry, it still works. They're still doing fantastic jobs, but there could be some way that we could help them out. From there, I went on and went to work for a material financing company. And that's where I really got a really good insight as to how specifically subcontractors, suppliers, and GCs were, losing days, losing weeks, losing months on jobs just from data not matching or not being as current as it should be. We're sitting there trying to, purchase lumber or purchase steel for a contractor, and they're still waiting on a change order to be approved, and they can't continue working until they have that. Even in the financial side of that, supplying money, giving contractors a way to, finance a job without having to do it out of their own cash flow, which then led me, to come to Procore as a bigger picture, not just looking at the material side, but the actual budgeting, invoice management, housing of the contracts, the prime contracts, the subcontracts, and everything there.
And I think the money aspect of the construction industry is so important and potentially overlooked at how cumbersome and restrictive it can be. You've got $1 million houses are the norm now. And if you take a look, if that's the small side of a construction project, and then you go to multifamily or high-rise construction, which, can be hundreds of millions of dollars, someone has to be looking after the pennies and the decimal points, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
What has always amazed me is when a project's going to be done, someone has the money to build that project. It's a matter of making sure the money is expeditiously and accurately pushed through the system to the right people to get everyone paid properly. You don't want to pay too early, and you obviously paying too late not only slows things down, but costs money.
Absolutely.
So I'm starting to learn more and more about the lean, not as in lean over, but the lean against the house, the LEIN management. And how does software today handle that?
So today there's companies out there that manage the lean management for construction companies, whether it be through material suppliers. Traditionally, material suppliers would also have a mechanics lien on projects. A lot of these material financing companies are helping with that as well. They'll come in and pay the supplier directly. Now the terms are with that material financing company instead of with the supplier, and then that material financing company will take and hold that lien position for their contractor to make sure that they're covered and are going to be paid for labor done, material costs, things of that nature. It really speeds up the lien release waivers as well. So once materials are delivered to the job site, once the job's completed, the lien waiver can be sent virtually and electronically. You can do electronic lien waivers to make sure everything's good to go, which then frees up that capital to be paid to the general contractor and then flow down to the subcontractors as well, who end up being sometimes the last paid, which then inhibits their ability to grow and move on to their next projects.
And it never ceases to amaze me how many entities inside of a construction project want to be a bank, or maybe they don't, but are forced into being a bank.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing you should do is force someone to be a banker when they're not a banker.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy. One of the things we do here at Materials Exchange is we come right out and say, we're not bankers. We're not going to finance you because that's not our expertise. We're technologists. We're a technology company that we know how to, gather data, gather buyers and sellers, make transactions, and arrange for the logistics and move that money. But financing should be left to financiers. And I just think that probably the industry could be percentages better and have everyone could make more money and build buildings faster, better, if we got some of that money movement difficulties out of the way.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The money movement part of it speeds up the time of construction as well. So now your project that was 6 months past is now, cutting that time in half, or, even 3/4. So now all of a sudden you're 1 month overdue. There's always going to be delays in construction. It's just the way the industry works. But to be able to cut those down and minimize those, which then frees up more capital, you're really looking at things about data flowing and money flowing of hourly burden wages of things. So it's not just the labor that you're being charged. It's the insurance you're paying on that job site. It's the dumpsters that you have sitting outside that are costing you X dollars a day.
Right.
All of these other little hidden costs that every single day continue to add up, and over the course of the year become tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Sure. If you're leasing the forklift for the job and it sits idle because someone didn't get paid and didn't show up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's crazy. So one thing you said yesterday I found fascinating is using project management software allows you this visibility into how a project's running, and you can see in real time, oh, something's awry right now. And it could be a design flaw, something is wrong, and address it immediately, as opposed to at the end of the project doing the post-mortem and say, oh, this is where we lost money. That's where we made the mistake. Now, knowing it in real time allows you to fix it, number one, but it also allows you to maybe not have it happen on a different project.
Absolutely. It gives you the ability in real time to see what those margins really are. You're not waiting for a month, 2 months to, rectify your books and then say, oh, we thought we were going to make 24% margin on this project and we only made 8%. You're going to know it as it's happening with the flow of data that's talking between your accounting software, between a budget software, something like inside of Procore. We have a budget management tool where you will see the labor in real time, change orders, the original contracts for every trade. So you can see, oh, we're over budget here, we're under budget here, we need to move some of these funds to try to rectify this. But you'll also then be able to use that data looking forward. So you can then change your bidding strategy on these next couple of jobs that are coming up. Would you do this same type project again when you thought you were going to have a margin of 24% and it ends up being 5%? It gives you just an idea in real time of where you really stand in the financial health of your project portfolio.
And when you consider some of the multifamily projects, which may have, say, 10 structures, and it's going to take a year to complete. All of a sudden, you've learned your lesson after 2 structures. If everything is digital and in the same ecosystem, you can start making tweaks and adjustments. And by the third, fourth, fifth structure, you could be fixing any of those things that went awry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'll bring it back to kind of like lumber and you guys. You can see on structure 2 that, hey, this material supplier always has their supplies hitting the job site on time in a timely manner. These other subs who are using different suppliers isn't there. Maybe we need to try to, talk to these guys and say, hey, we need the product here on time. You can have that insight instantly instead of it being months down the line.
And I mean, yeah, if people know a schedule and the schedule is real and continually updated, they can plan for that schedule. And in our current environment of supply shortages, especially strange supply shortages where it might be lock sets that are slowing down a project, or windows, or roofing, like roofing material.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're not going to go inside and lay carpet unless the roof's on, right? So it's, I think visibility is absolutely key to, not only is it key, but it's just possible for us to do this today. We live in a connected digital world. Well, let's get connected up in digital. So that brings me to, I think, the next point, which is, if you're not doing this right now, every day that goes by, if you are not digital and you are not using project management software, you're starting to fall behind.
Yeah, it really is. That's the long and short of it. There is, if you're not using it now, number one, your competitors 100% are, and they're using it, and not just for things as far as monetary gains. Yes, it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you be more efficient. One of the things I love the most is when my GCs and subcontractors come to me and tell me that now, instead of doing double and triple data entry late nights during the week and having to come in on a Saturday or Sunday, they get to spend it with their family. So it's also increasing the value of their personal lives by not having to double enter data between 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 different places, and really giving them back that time with their families, with their personal lives.
Yeah, look, technology, nothing is broken. We're building buildings just fine, right? But when you do find a technology that makes it go better, faster, more accurate, if you're not doing that, if you're not looking to improve all the time, you're probably going to get caught behind the curve. I got an email today, and it was talking about one of the major distributors and how they had a record year, and why would they need to change anything? And I'm like, why they need to change anything and everything is because they just had a record year. And what happens is people look and they see where piles of money are sitting. And if they see an industry that, oh, that company just made a whole bunch of money, maybe I should try to get into that industry. So we were at the IBS show a couple weeks ago. And one of my takeaways from that show was some of the small, innovative construction companies that were coming over to the Materials Exchange booth and wanted to know what we're doing, because they may have been having a difficult time getting their hands on materials. And it's the young, let me rephrase that, the go-getters, the people who are looking to improve. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look around and say the way you improve in today's world is through technology, connectivity, better data, better visibility, working together, not apart. And I mean, that sounds a lot like what project management software is all about.
Yeah, it really is. And it's exciting. I'm really excited to see what you guys are doing as well. The project management software brings everyone there, and hopefully in the future with some more suppliers we can start partnering with to have you guys as well. The visibility you guys give to the industry, you're taking your local supplier is no longer just local. He can be regional, national, because now you're connected to not just contractors that that are working in your area, but you're able to, have a bigger impact on that supply.
Yeah, for sure. So let's wrap up with my question every week, which is, what does Peter see coming down the road that other people may not see right now, from how the industry could be moving forward, or what's going on what's rolling around in your head?
Really, just the continued use and growth and adaptation of technology in the construction world. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I don't think I would have told you that the adaptation would have happened as fast as I think it's going to. I thought we were probably still just the innovators that were starting to get into it, looking for a leg up against their competition. It's turning out that we're past that. It's now, if you're not doing it, you need to start, because you're going to be caught well behind, and these other people are going to continue to ramp up as more companies come out and they digitize everything. Not just drawings. People are now walking around with iPads and drawing, or tablets and drawing. They're walking around, taking pictures in real time and uploading that to a request for information or change order. So I think we're just going to see more and more of this move digital and move a lot quicker. And I think it's going to happen a lot faster than we think across the entire industry, not just in the US, but globally.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. Speaking of drawings, I was in one of our users' yards a couple months ago, and the guy who's running the yard is young, in his 30s, and wants everything to be digital, but he still has to pander a bit to the paper drawings that are on someone's desk. And he actually showed me side by side. Here was a desk with paper drawings. Here was a fully digital set of drawings. And guess which one went easier for everyone?
Yeah, the digital.
But the reality is he has a workforce, and that half of his workforce that's still on paper drawings and likes to, write everything out. Great. More power to you. You could take a look at the situation and which one's going to grow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But excellent. Hey, I so appreciate the time today. I'm excited to hear about Procore becoming an ecosystem and inviting, new apps and having an app store. That's really kind of cool. I strongly encourage people to, take a look at Procore, learn about what you guys are doing. Don't be afraid to contact you because of cost. The reality is it's an ecosystem, and there's a spot for everybody in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, cool. All right, everyone, we're going to sign off. We'll see you next month, believe it or not, March. I can't believe it's March already. February always flies by, of course. We'll see you next month, and have a great day.